days, and, there's, medication doesn't fix anything. Unfortunately, there's not a cure for anybody. And obviously, like, you have to be able to take care of yourself. The hyperactivity can be in your head as you age, and people don't get that. Yeah, like my head when I'm not on my meds is like just spinning all the time. Like,
I wonder how your head is when you drink on your medication.
worrying, thinking. I remember when I first started taking my meds 3 years ago, and I remember the first day or the first week. I remember I was sitting outside on my patio right down here, and I was just sitting there sort of staring at the trees, and my mind was blank. Like, there was nothing in my brain.
That was a few days after starting to take them. What kind of bullshit is she spinning here?
I wasn't worried about something. I wasn't hyper focusing on anything. I wasn't over analyzing everything. I was just calm. And I was like,
Yeah, you could have just said it in one word. I was calm.
wow, I can actually like think. I did years.
She's not very good at describing it. For me, it feels like everything is filed properly in my brain. Someone has gone in there and just organised it. And yeah, I'm able to think clearly, stay on topic most of the time. Unless it's at night time, or unless it's 6:30 in the morning like it is now.
Of therapy. I did cognitive behavioral therapy for years.
Bullshit. I do not believe that because your behavior proves that is wrong. You are lying. I reckon you probably started therapy but then realized it was too fucking hard, because it is. You got to work for it. If you want it, you have to work for it. I think you were too lazy, and I think you had to give up too much.
My doctor always calls it like a crutch. She always says like, or like a cane. She's like, your medication is kind of like a cane or a crutch. Think of it like you have a broken foot.
I see it as a safety net because seriously, with medication, it balances you out enough so that you can actually start physically doing therapy, which takes a lot. You're not able to do therapy unless you are balanced out on medication. But for some people like me, I'm unable to live without my meds, without my antidepressants.
Like, you have that cane or crutch and it will help you move and you will be able to move better. But it still doesn't take away the fact that you have that condition. And
why are you looking up?
So that's kind of always how I think about it. Like, I do still struggle with it, and I still deal.
You still struggle with it because you drink. So your medication isn't working and you are getting high off it. I don't believe you have ADHD. I'm sick of this fucking bullshit, and I'm sick of you thinking that you're able to sit there and preach about it because you don't even understand it.
With it, but
you think it's a disability. If your medication was working, it wouldn't be. And why does it still affect you?
Really easy for me to get back centered than it was before.
Bullshit. I doubt you fucking meditate or anything.
So I think so much, like, it's amazing to me, like, all these little pockets of communities that exist on YouTube, and how much comfort people.
Not just YouTube, on the internet. There's a whole internet out there.
We'll get from all of these.
But you are not a helping community. You are not providing anything other than a big fucking disturbance.
realizing that what you deal with daily is not normal. It's so
The amount of anxiety that you cause people that watch your shit. Jesus, man.
strange. It is. I remember sitting down on my
You're
patio
going to tell
and I
the
thought,
story
wow,
again?
my brain is so calm. And I said to my doctor, I was like, is this normal? Like,
Is that your only memory, or is that something that you read that someone experienced because you have trouble explaining your feelings because you don't have any?
is this how people's brains are when they're just like, they're not spinning? And she's like, yes. And I was like, so it's not normal to have spinning cyclical thoughts, because that's
Okay, but how did you get through university and you managed to get through Spanish, a Spanish arts degree, and you graduated? How did that happen with your head spinning and all that? You know? How were you able to hold down a full-time professional job, as you say, for over 12 years? How? With a spinning head and unable to concentrate. How, Katie?
one of the things that I had. And there's like this specific issue that happens in
Why the fuck are you looking up?
ADHD where you get like rapid, at least with my form, where I would get like rapid cycling of thoughts. And with that came paranoia, because I would start spinning
Because you were drinking so much.
different things in my brain about what things were going to happen,
And you're an addict.
and being very like aware and scared of what was going to come
No.
next. And then that all disappeared.
I feel like she's reading someone else's experience because this is not anything close. Why are you touching your heart, Tati? Oh, sorry. Katie, you trying to have a heart-to-heart? Have you just realised that we've all figured out that you lied? On your declaration, you lied to the judge, you signed it. You're in big trouble, girlie.
I'm sorry about your friend, Jen. I am. And
I'm sorry about your friend, but let me then just do pinchy pinchy. No, bitch. You're still thinking about yourself.
not at all
You haven't played victim in a while, so here we are.
suggesting that I am the only person. And yes,
The way you talk, you come across as if you think you are the only person that suffers from this. And people that actually do suffer from it can see through your fucking bullshit, bitch.
are people that struggle with meeting their daily lives. I'm going to remove your comment there, Jen, only because I don't want to trigger anyone in the chat.
You trigger everyone every day. Twiddling, touching, picking, scratching, eating loudly. People ask you to stop and you're rude. And now you want to remove someone's comment because they were being fucking truthful?
This time. I can only speak of my personal experience, and I'm never, when I'm on my channel, speaking about anybody else but me.
Well, maybe you should work on the way that you deliver shit, because you seem to come across as if you are the know-all of everything. Typical narc. Maybe you should watch stuff back and learn from it. Oh, yeah.
And I'm not suggesting ever that what I go through.
You're not suggesting look up ever. Why was there a break there? Seems like you're suggesting something.
Is what anyone else goes through. I speak from my own experience, and I have more than just ADHD. And yes.
Oh my gosh, so do most people that have ADHD. You're not the only one that has multiple diagnoses.
There are people that have ADHD where you cannot at all function, and there are severity levels of ADHD. There are people.
Just talk about your own. You just said what you're talking about is your own story. So why are you fucking trying to say all the different versions of ADHD that there are? Talk about what you've got. You don't know what other people go through. So don't fucking say and start talking like you're fucking god of ADHD, bitch.
That are disabled by ADHD and that they can't hold steady jobs and they can't manage their day-to-day lives. And then there's other people with therapy medication.
Please talk about your personal experience. Please. You're a fucking walking contradiction. Actually, a sitting contradiction. A sitting duck. Quack, quack.
That can. And it's no different than any mental health issue. There's so many, there's people that have bipolar that cannot function, and there's that struggle to.
Can you just keep to what you know as your own personal story? Who are you talking about?
Function, and then there are people that can function or are able to with the proper, system supports in place, and
Jesus.
That's just sort of a blanket for anyone, and nobody is the same at all.
We know.
So I just think,
we live in the real world. We know.
For me, it took me 38 years to get to a place where I was finally, I feel like a lot of times when I'm watching Trisha, I see myself in a lot of capacities, not as her, but as the discovery aspect of her, where until you have something that sums up your lived experience and that everything you've gone through, until you have a doc.
Yes, like living life. That is what living life is. You learn from experiences. You're not the only person that's gone through shit in life and learnt from experience, except you might be a late bloomer, because getting diagnosed at 38 with ADHD, fuck.
That says, this is what you are, this is what's going on, this is what it is. You are.
Stop looking up. You've never looked up before. You've always been a right looker. All of a sudden, you're looking up. Why? Because you're unsure of what you're saying?
Are kind of on this path of self-discovery to try to figure out what is making you do the things.
Oh my God, we've all gone through our own journey of self-discovery, bitch. Don't preach to us. You're the fucking one that doesn't learn, hasn't lived, is fucking stuck. You're so pitiful. Look at you. You're fucking acting like a complete idiot.
That you do, that you either are struggling with, that are making it hard for you to have friendships, or struggling at work, or why you're so anxious, or...
Can you please stop talking in third person? Talk about yourself, not about everybody else.
And trying everything to get rid of that anxiety, from yoga to meditation to...
Both of those work. So...
calm thoughts to essential...
I don't think you've done all these. Oh, that's right, you slept with crystals.
Oils to really anything. And then when you finally have someone like sit you down and you go through and you say, I remember being like 38 and I remember sitting with my doctor and I just said, at the time it was shortly.
We don't need a specific time. This is what happens when people are lying in interrogations with the police and they just start giving specifics. We don't need that.
My son was 4, so I wouldn't say it was postpartum, but we were talking about like intrusive thoughts, where you have a thought that isn't rational and you would never.
Yeah, they're called ants, automatic negative thoughts. If you've done CBT, you might know that.
Never do it, but a thought that nevertheless scares you. So, and an intrusive thought would be something that you're thinking that is something that you would never do.
Well, I mean, why is she so shit at describing stuff?
A harmful thought that is not representative of who you are, but you fear the thought because you worry that you're somehow going to become that thing that of whatever it is that you're thinking,
Automatic
whatever,
negative
and we were
thought.
talking about intrusive thoughts and working on helping me manage those intrusive thoughts and identifying them so
Through
that when I have them,
mindfulness.
I'm like, oh, that's not a real thought. That's an intrusive thought. That's not helping you. It's not a
Why doesn't she say what it is? She describes a whole paragraph of like maybe a back of a book and doesn't tell you what the title is.
real thought. And then when I could actually sit and be aware that the thought I was having was not actually like real, I was like, oh, because I remember she said,
But that's not from medication. If that's how ADHD makes you feel when you take the medication, then you just maybe might need a higher dose of serotonin. It doesn't sound like ADHD.
like, well, of course you would never do that, because if you are telling me that these thoughts scare you and that you fear becoming like this, whatever it was at the time, you wouldn't be scared. If you were going to become that person, you would just do it. You wouldn't have fear. You wouldn't have trepidation. You wouldn't have.
That's actually not true, because I have found you know that you're on the right path when you feel the most fear. And it's conquering that fear that makes you grow as a person beyond anything in life. That overcoming the fear, getting to the other side, is one of the biggest human growth experiences. And I don't know what the fuck she's talking about.
Anxiety about it. It would just be like what you were doing. And I remember thinking like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So yeah.
The way she's just retelling it is like she is reading someone else's story.
I mean, I did both I've done cognitive therapy and medication, but
which is usually the treatment for the basic core. And then you stem out. You should have done more. I don't even think you did CBT. Your behaviour tells me you didn't.
remember when I finally got that diagnosis, that it was like finally having all of your.
And it's weird because, like, fuck. Oh, this whole time I keep forgetting that she's talking about ADHD. When to me, it just sounds like depression.
Pieces sort of in place, and
it sounds like depression, right? Not ADHD. What the hell?
Finally realizing like that path that you were on where you were struggling and you couldn't figure out who you were and that you knew that there was something different.
I wonder if she was put on antidepressants at the same time as ADHD meds. And it's, one she's getting high off and the other is actually working. But then she's mixing the alcohol in, which is intensifying the anxiety, which is making her tick more.
About you, but you never could figure out what it was, and you never, no matter what you tried, found something to make you feel